Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the GSL-English Podcast. My name is Gideon, and this is a podcast for all learners of English to practice and improve in a relaxed and natural way. And in this episode, we are going to ask the question, what if? Now, there are so many times in life that we ask, what if? Perhaps we're thinking about the past. What if I'd done this? What if this had happened? What if I'd said that rather than this? When we think about the future, we've got thousands of what if questions, haven't we? So we're going to look at that today. And we're going to try something a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to present 10 hypothetical what if questions to you. Then I'm going to present my answer, just what I think about that. And then we're going to look into the research and look into what would actually happen if these what if scenarios came true. But the real thing that I want you to do in this episode, if you can, is to think about your own answers in English. So as I present each scenario to you, I want you to think about your opinion, what you would think would happen, what you would do. But really try and think about it in English. And this is just a great exercise just to get that thinking process going in whatever language you're learning. But of course today, that will hopefully be in English. So yeah, something a little bit different today. If you're a regular viewer or listener, you'll know generally we have an interesting topic and we look at an article and we discuss it together. But I was kind of talking with some friends and we were going through some what if scenarios, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to present some of them to you on the podcast today. So before we get into it, if you are new here, just a little introduction. As I said, my name is Gideon. I'm an English teacher from just outside of London, and I create podcasts like this really just to help you embrace yourself in real and authentic English. So give it a subscribe. New episodes come out every Sunday at 10 in the morning. And please feel free to introduce yourself in the comments. And if you are one of you lovely, lovely returning viewers and listeners, thank you so much for your support. I know I've had a little bit of a break recently. I'm not going to go into details again, but we seem to be back in business, which is good. So thank you for your support as always. So before we get into it, I wanted to look at a word, and that word is hypothetical, because the what if questions I'm going to present to you today are really all hypothetical situations, and I thought it's just an interesting word to analyze before we move on. So what do we mean when we describe something as hypothetical? Well, it's an adjective based on an imagined situation rather than a real one. It describes something that is possible in theory. In theory, some of these really scrape on the edge of possibility, but hasn't actually happened. And sometimes we can do this in business, at work, in social, at school. We create hypothetical situations. So it's an imagined situation rather than a real one, and you talk about the possibilities. A hypothetical question is designed to ask you to imagine a situation and think about what might happen if it were true. And these questions most often begin with what if. For example, what if humans never slept? What if everyone always told the truth? What if we could read each other's minds? I'm going to look into those in a little bit. What if? What would happen? So although hypothetical questions are imaginary, that they can really help us to explore real ideas, understand human behaviour, and think critically about a certain situation. And again, these are great for studying, for exams, and it is honestly just a brilliant way of improving your English or just connecting with English. So I really do encourage you, of course, just listen, chill out, relax with me. That's the idea of the podcast. But try and formulate your own opinions in English. And if that does mean pausing the video, even writing down your thoughts in English, please do it. We're not in a rush just to get through this episode. We're not in a rush to improve our English. If you can take your time, please do. So, going to get into those 10 scenarios now, but you know what I do recommend, if you can, get comfortable, relax, and unwind with me in the English language. So, here we go. Scenario number 1. What if humans stopped forgetting? What if humans stopped forgetting? Now, this is an interesting one. So before we look into it, I think this would be awful. I think this would be absolutely awful. Now, I think it'd be a very different question if my memory was just a little bit better. I'm sure my wife would very much prefer that. I do think I've got a bad memory. Yeah, I don't think my memory is as good as it should be. And I wouldn't have to ask my wife 10 times, what are we doing at the weekend? But if we just stopped forgetting everything, I think that could be terrible. For example, we have that famous phrase, just forgive and forget. Move on. Could we forgive if we never forgot? Or, certain instances in life, we want to forget. And also sometimes forgetting allows for sharing in more just happy experiences in life. If we never forgot everything, I'm sure a lot of things would just get really boring. So what does research say? What do you say? Please share your comments, share your thoughts, and don't worry about leaving multiple comments. I do read every single comment that gets put on YouTube and Spotify. I try to reply to as many as I can. So please don't think your comments are ignored. I'm not just saying it for algorithm. I really want you just to express your thoughts and enjoy it. So yeah, even if you want to leave a comment on every single scenario, go for it. So the research says that most of us get frustrated when we forget someone's name, lose our keys, and can't remember where we parked the car. Every single one of those I can relate to. But what if we never forgot anything? Although perfect memory sounds like an incredible gift, research suggests it could become a burden. A burden is something that really weighs on us and becomes a difficulty in life. Something that we would like to get rid of. A small number of people have a condition known as highly superior autobiographical memory, shortened to HSAM, allowing them to remember extraordinary details from almost every day of their lives. Many describe it as exhausting. Painful memories remain vivid for years, making it difficult to move on from embarrassing or traumatic experiences. So when it describes memories being vivid, they're real, they're there. You can remember every single detail. So neuroscientists believe forgetting is actually one of the brain's greatest strengths. It allows us to filter out unnecessary information, focus on what matters, and adapt to new experiences. That's really interesting. God, could you imagine having this highly superior autobiographical memory? Basically, that they remember, when it says extraordinary details, more than ordinary. More details than we ever would from almost every day of their lives. There's certain instances you think, I could really do with that. It'd be really helpful. But generally speaking, that would be an absolute curse, wouldn't it? It would be awful. And there's certain things that we want to forget. And forgetting, as it says, it allows us to filter out just that unnecessary information that we don't need and focus on what matters. So the conclusion that it came up with is forgetting isn't a flaw. It's an essential part of how memory works. I think my forgetfulness is a flaw. I always lose my keys. The other day I was walking around trying to find the TV remote. Where was it? In my hand. Yeah. So, general forgetting, come on, it's a bit of a flaw. But this idea of never forgetting, no thank you. All right, this is an interesting one. What if nobody had smartphones for 1 week? Sign me up. I would love to have. Oh, do you know what? I'm going to be honest. I think I'd struggle. I love the idea of it. But we speak about this a lot on the podcast. But how much do we reach for our phones? But I think generally speaking, society, humans, families, friends, I think we'd all be closer. I'd like to think it would be a really good thing. So what does the research suggest? For many people, this sounds impossible. Smartphones have transformed the way we communicate, work, and entertain ourselves. But they've also filled almost every quiet moment of our lives. We touched on that last week when we were talking about daydreaming. Research suggests that constant notifications and easy access to information can reduce, our ability to concentrate for long periods. Some studies have even found that simply having your phone nearby, even if you're not using it, can reduce cognitive, brain performance, because part of your attention is devoted to resisting the temptation to check it. Without smartphones, many people would probably spend more time talking face to face, noticing their surroundings, and allowing their minds to wander. Again, touched on that last week. But I think there's one point in here that really stands out to me. Even if your phone's nearby, even if you're not using it, you are constantly resisting the temptation to check it. So part of your brain is devoted to resisting. Oh, that really resonates with me. It's true, isn't it? Oh my goodness, how many times do you have your phone next to you and you're constantly thinking about checking it? So it comes to the conclusion that life would become less convenient, but perhaps mentally quieter. For 1 week, let's do it. Imagine that, just a worldwide, I don't know. I love it. That's why hypothetical situation. Everything's, but it's talking about smartphones. So it's not saying that we wouldn't have phones. We wouldn't be able to communicate. We've got the internet still. We can email. We can Skype. Who remembers Skype? Does anyone still use Skype? I don't know. But it's just the idea of not having smartphones, no social media, no constantly checking absolutely everything. I like that one. What if no one had smartphones for the week? Well, I'm in. Let's do it. All right, interesting one. What if we couldn't feel fear? Okay, my initial thoughts. Fear is a good thing. I think it helps keep us out of some bad situations, but it can also very often hold us back. So if we couldn't feel fear, I think there's real pros and cons to that. Because we need fear. Fear is what stops us doing stupid things or, making very bad decisions. But also fear holds us back from sometimes reaching our potential. I think we still need it. I think we still need fear. Yeah. Fear often has a negative reputation. We try to overcome it, avoid it, and sometimes even eliminate it, remove it altogether. But fear exists for a reason. It is one of the brain's most powerful survival mechanisms. It warns us about danger and encourages us to act cautiously. People with damage to the amygdala, the brain region involved in processing fear, often struggle to recognize dangerous situations, and may take risks that most people would instinctively avoid. That's what kind of the thought we're going with. Instinctively is something you do by nature. Without fear, we might drive too fast, climb dangerous heights, or trust the wrong people. So the conclusion, fear isn't the problem. It only becomes a problem when it controls our lives. That's interesting. I guess there's healthy fear and there's negative fear, isn't there? Yeah. I think we still need fear. God, I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you're in England at the moment, but it's scorching hot. And in my office right now, I am roasting. I'm roasting like a chicken in here. Stick a fork in me. I am done. My office is boiling. Need to get a fan. Need to get aircon. Ugh. Number 4. What if time actually felt slow again? What does it mean by that? What if time actually felt slow again? Let's go straight into the research on this one. Because actually felt slow again. Many adults feel as though the years pass more quickly than they used to. Childhood summers seemed endless, while adult years often disappear in the blink of an eye. I love that expression. If something happens in the blink of an eye, very quickly, it's gone. Oh man, my childhood summers in England, we had 6 weeks off holidays. I've got nothing but fond memories. Loved it. But adult life, where is it going? If time actually felt slow again. But maybe what made time feel slow is the lack of responsibility you have when you're young, when you're a child. Maybe that's what makes it so beautiful. I don't know if I'd want time to slow down to that level. Because, I don't know. Psychologists believe this is partially because children experience far more novelty. Every experience is new, so the brain creates richer memories. As adults, routines dominate our lives. I love a routine. Causing weeks and months to blur together. Research suggests that introducing new experiences, learning new skills, and visiting unfamiliar places can make life feel fuller and longer in retrospect. So the conclusion, we probably can't slow time itself. Well, no, we can't. But we may be able to slow our experience of it. And I like that. As adults, we've got to have routine. We've got to have structure. But does it need to dominate our lives, meaning that everything kind of blurs together? So mixing it up a bit in life. Like you do when you're young. When you're young, you're looking for those new experiences, those new things to go through with your friends and family. Maybe if we just did that a little bit more, life would just slow down. Number 5. This is an interesting one. I really want to get your thoughts on this one. What if everyone always told the truth? Nothing but the truth. I really want to get your thoughts on that. Let me know, what do you think on that? And while you're sharing a comment, don't forget to give this episode a subscribe, this podcast, a subscribe or a follow. If everyone always told the truth, I'm an honest guy. I don't believe in lying. I don't believe in misleading people at all. But would it be good if everyone always just simply told the truth? Do I look good in this? Sometimes you just want people to say, yeah, you look great. But if everybody always told the truth, I don't think it would be a good thing. At first glance, at the first sight, this sounds like a perfect society. No lies, no deception, no hidden agendas. But psychologists point out that humans often tell prosocial lies. Small lies intended to protect other people's feelings or maintain social harmony, living together. Imagine hearing every opinion people had about you. Oh my goodness. Would relationships actually improve? Probably not. Complete honesty could easily become cruel rather than helpful. Trust depends not only on honesty, but also on empathy and kindness. I agree with this. Society would not work if you heard every opinion that somebody has of you. Even your best mates, your friends, sometimes they're going to have negative opinions of you. It's going to happen. None of us are perfect. We don't always need to hear them. Honesty is a great thing, of course. But, and I guess though, sometimes you just don't have to talk. But then silence says a lot, doesn't it? What if everyone always told the truth? What do you think the world would be like if everybody always told the truth? Even in the small things in life. Sometimes knowing when not to say something is just as important as telling the truth. I agree with that. But sometimes silence says 1,000 words. Again, if someone says, do I look good in this? And you just stare at them in silence. Man, I think that's worse than saying, no, I'd change. What do you think? Number 6. I like this one. What if boredom disappeared forever? There is no more boredom. Thanks to smartphones, streaming services and social media, boredom has become increasingly rare. So boredom disappearing, I think this is all on us. If we find that we're bored in life, things aren't exciting us, then maybe we just need to mix it up a little bit. What is it that's creating the boredom that we feel? But boredom's not always a bad thing. Again, tying back to last week's episode, sometimes we've got to embrace a bit of boredom to get the noggin turning, to get the brain thinking. That's where our creative side comes out. So no, I don't think boredom should disappear. I just think we as humans need to learn to handle it again. We need to learn to embrace it, enjoy it. We live in a world where boredom is thrown out the window at all costs. Whenever we have a spare minute, we can instantly find something to watch, read, or listen to. However, again, touching on last week, I'm going to stop saying that now, it must be getting a bit annoying. Research suggests boredom serves as an important psychological purpose. It encourages creativity, reflection, and problem solving. When the brain isn't occupied with external information, it begins generating ideas of its own. Many people report their best ideas arriving while walking, showering, or simply staring out of the window. Conclusion: boredom may not be something to avoid. It may be the beginning of creativity. I fully agree with this. I think if boredom disappeared, my goodness, I think the human race would suffer. It could be awful. Because if boredom's disappeared, then there's something to always fill that boredom. And one thing I'm a firmer believer in is we just need to sometimes be okay with a bit of a break from everything. What if humans never felt pain? I actually did an episode on this. It's got to be over a year ago now. We read an article of an experience of a girl that never felt pain. And it was a nightmare for her parents. For example, if she had severe headaches that needed to get checked, her parents wouldn't know. If she injured herself outside, a normal child would scream, they'd cry, but she wouldn't. Pain is the body's way of telling us something's wrong, something's not right. We either need to get it checked or fix it or sort it out. I mean, there's certain situations in life we'd all love to remove pain. But I don't think as humans we should never feel pain. Maybe there could just be like an on and off switch. That would be great. Oh, something hurts, I need to get it checked. I'll turn that pain off. As long as we do go get it checked. Dental pain, for example. My tooth hurts. I'm going to book an appointment at the dentist and just switch that pain off until I go. I'm going to change the question. What if we had a switch that could turn pain off? I think that'd be great. But only if you still went to the doctors and got it checked. In reality, pain is one of the body's most important survival mechanisms. It goes on to talk about this. There are rare people born with a condition called congenital insensitivity to pain, CIP, meaning they cannot feel physical pain. Although this sounds like a superpower, it is actually extremely dangerous. Without pain, people may continue walking on a broken foot, fail to notice serious burns, or overlook, just ignore infections because their bodies never warn them that something is wrong. Pain tells us when to stop, when to rest, and when to seek medical help. It protects us from causing even greater damage. Pain may be unpleasant, but without it, surviving everyday life would be far more difficult. I agree with that. I think that's a good answer. Pain's not fun. I don't like pain. None of us like pain. But we need it. What if you could read everybody's mind? I don't want to know. I really don't want to know. But then maybe that's a bit of a cynical look into humans, human nature. But I don't think I want to know what everyone's thinking. No, I don't think I want to know at all, actually. Imagine always knowing exactly what people were thinking. So it presents the juxtaposition here. No misunderstandings, no lies, no guessings. At first it sounds ideal. Do you know when I would like to know this? Is when I say to my wife, what would you like for dinner? Where do you want to go for dinner? What takeaway do you want to get? If I could read her mind, that decision would be so much easier. That's when I'd like to be able to read people's minds. Just to get a quick answer for food. There's nothing more I hate than trying to work out where to eat. And I'm hungry. Yeah. So, sounds ideal in that situation. But psychologists suggest it could quickly become overwhelming. Something's overwhelming. It becomes too much emotionally. Human thoughts are often random, contradictory, and fleeting. So contradictory means that they go against the common opinion, or they go against something that's already been said, and fleeting meaning they come and go very quickly. We don't believe every thought that enters our mind. That's true, isn't it? That's interesting. Many disappear within seconds. Relationships depend on communication, trust, and choosing what to share, not exposing every passing thought. Privacy also plays an important role in emotional well-being. I think that's true. Relationships, a good relationship is based on communication, trust, and sharing what we feel we need to share. You just read everyone's mind. Communication goes out the window. And I think it's true as well that we don't believe every thought we have. So we might read someone's mind in the shops and have a terrible thought. Doesn't mean they believe it. It's just a random thought that's popped into their head. So the conclusion, perhaps it's a good thing that our thoughts remain private until we choose to express them. Agreed. Again, what's your thought? 2 more. What if humans stopped dreaming? I love dreams. I have some wild dreams. God, let me tell you. No, I think we need to dream. I think if humans stopped dreaming, I think it's one of the awesome things about a lot of animals and creations and humans. We dream, don't we? And I think they're fascinating. What do they mean? Why did we dream that? Where did it come from? Do you ever have that where you wake up from a dream and you think, where on earth did that come from? Or a person pops into your dream, you think, where on earth did they come from? I haven't heard from them in years. Dreams have fascinated people for thousands of years. Although scientists still debate exactly why we dream, research suggests dreams may help process emotions, strengthen memories, and prepare us for future situations. People who are repeatedly prevented or stopped from entering REM sleep, the stage most associated with vivid dreaming, there's that word again, vivid, detailed, often experience problems with mood, learning, and memory. Some neuroscientists believe dreaming allows the brain to organize information gathered throughout the day and even rehearse responses to potential threats. While we still don't fully understand dreams, most researchers agree that they are unlikely to be meaningless. The conclusion, dreams may seem strange. That is very true with me. Honestly, my dreams are crazy. But they appear to play an important role in keeping our minds healthy. Yeah, I think that REM sleep, where we're most likely going to dream, is essential. And I do sometimes feel like when you have a dream, you're processing, you're going through an emotion that you feel. Yeah. Sometimes you wake up from a dream feeling better, don't you? You just like, yeah, I think we got a dream. And lastly, what if humans never experienced loneliness? So I guess this presents the idea that even if we're on our own, we never have that feeling of loneliness. I think it's good if we still love to be social. We still love to be with people. For example, if we never experience loneliness, does it take away the desire for social interaction? Because if it does, then there's the issue. But of course, there's some people out there that are lonely. And that feeling of loneliness can be horrible. It can be a real weight. It can be something that really, people battle with. So if you could remove that feeling for some, I would love to be able to do that. But as long as the need and desire for still being social, spending time with people, didn't go. What does the research say? Loneliness is often mistaken for simply being alone. But psychologists distinguish between the two. You can be surrounded by people and still feel lonely. That's interesting. While others enjoy spending long periods in solitude on their own. Research has shown that strong social connections are closely linked to better physical health, improved mental well-being, and even a longer life. Humans evolved as highly social creatures relying on cooperation for survival is what the research says. Without the ability to feel loneliness, we might lose one of the signals that encourages us to reconnect with others when our social needs aren't being met. That's what I was saying, yeah. Losing that signal to connect with others. Although loneliness can be painful, It may serve an important purpose by reminding us that human connection matters. And I think that's the really important point there. You know, loneliness is painful. It's not easy, but it is that reminder that we need connection with humans. For example, if you remove loneliness, I think there has to be like a caveat with this one. That, okay, if I remove loneliness, that's okay, but humans still need that desire for connection, still need that desire to talk to humans face to face, to be with people. But yeah, sometimes I think it'd be nice to remove the pain or that feeling of loneliness. So there you go. 10 what if questions there. Which one got you thinking the most? Which one did you enjoy? Which one? Yeah. Have you got any more? Have you got any other what if questions you'd like to present in the comments? Perhaps you can answer each other's. Yeah. It's interesting, this idea of what if, and these are hypothetical situations in life. We do it a lot, don't we? But it's a brilliant exercise just to help you practice speaking, to help you practice thinking, and if you get a chance to speak those thoughts out loud. So there you go. Well, thank you so much for joining again. I do appreciate your support, as you know. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you've got any suggestions or anything you'd like me to talk about, please always share it in the comments. And I'll try and cover it in a future episode. So thank you so much, guys. I do appreciate your support. And yeah, have a good one, guys.